Welcome back to World of Immersion. Today we're going to be ranking every single ride at the one and only Disney's California Adventure. Now this is one of my home parks, so I've been visiting this park for a very long time, and that means I've ridden every single ride here a great deal amount of times. So today we're going to be ranking them and counting them down from worst to best. But before we start today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It shows that over 97% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button if you can. It helps with the channel a ton. With that being said, we have 18 rides to get through, so let's not waste any more time and get right into the video. Alright, for these first ones, we're going to be going quite quickly through them because, like I said, we have a lot of rides to get through. So that means starting off at number 18, we have Jesse's Critter Carousel. This isn't a bad ride at all. It just is a very typical carousel ride. It's not meant for me. It's definitely meant for little children. So that's why it comes in at number 18. Coming in at number 17, we have Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. Once again, this is a very small flat ride. Definitely geared towards younger children. This one definitely has a little bit more theming though, so that's why it comes in just a little bit higher. Coming in at number 16, and we have Jumpin' Jellyfish. This ride is cool. It gives you definitely a great view of the entirety of Pixar Pier. But once again, it is definitely a very small flat ride, so it can't come in much higher on the list for me. And coming in at number 15, we have Golden Zephyr. Yet again, another flat ride. This is a trend you'll notice. This park has a ton of flat rides for some reason. This one is cool though. Gives a little bit more thrill as you're kind of swinging up above the entire lagoon area. It definitely is very visually appealing from off-ride, but it's not that crazy thrilling, so that's why it comes in just a little bit lower on the list. And coming in at number 13, we have, you guessed it, yet again another flat ride, and this is Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Now we get into a little bit better flat rides though. This one is definitely a ton of fun. It's got some great theming. This one's over in Cars Land. I love how all of the vehicles are synced up. It's almost as if they're dancing. The theming on this ride is definitely great and helps make this one a lot better than the other flat rides on this list so far. So that's why it comes in just a little bit higher. And coming in at number 12, you guessed it, is another flat ride. And this is Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. This one though is a ton of fun. I actually really like this ride. It's got some great audio as you're going around. It's got a really fun soundtrack with Mater singing along. The queue is definitely decently themed. This ride also has amazing capacity because there are two different rides plopped right now next to each other. So this line moves very, very fast. And this is by far the best theming out of any of the flat rides, in addition to it being decently thrilling. I like this ride a lot. I highly recommend checking this one out. And moving on to number 11, just barely missing out on the top 10, we have the Pixar Pal Around. Now technically this is two rides, however I'm going to lump them in one because it's hard to rank the two different versions of it. You have the swinging and non-swinging versions. And while the swinging side is a lot more thrilling, the non-swinging side takes you a lot higher, so they're both really good in their own respective areas. So that's why I kind of lump them in together. I feel like neither of them are better than the other. I definitely prefer the swinging side because it's a little bit more unique compared to other Ferris wheels. But overall, this is a very cool ride. It is a massive Ferris wheel. It's a great icon for the park. This is by far the most iconic ride in the entire park, in my opinion. Everybody has seen the giant Mickey Ferris wheel, and I think it looks really cool. And like I said, it's very cool to ride. You get some amazing views. Definitely the best views you'll get on any ride at Disney. But starting off our top 10 and coming in at number 10, we have the one and only Goofy's Sky School. Now, there are a lot of fans of this ride. I honestly can't really put it much higher in my opinion though, because it's just a very typical Wild Mouse. And honestly, not even one of the best at that. There are definitely some better Wild Mouse coasters out there. It's definitely better than the likes of Coast Rider over at Knott's Berry Farm because that one hurts. But this one isn't that great either. It makes up for it with a little bit of theming. I think the theming is very charming. But besides that, this ride doesn't have a ton going for it, but it is a roller coaster, so that's why it comes in higher than the flat rides on this list. And coming in at number 9, we have the one and only Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure. Now, honestly, I'm not a crazy huge fan of this ride. It is a dark ride, so that's why it comes in a little bit higher for me on this list. And it definitely has the best theming out of any of the rides on the list so far. But honestly, I think there's a lot better version of this ride in the exact same park, which you'll see later on this list. But just in general, this ride is just okay. It's cool that they have a Spider-Man themed ride, however I definitely think that there are better versions of Spider-Man rides out there. It gets the job done though. It's definitely a solid supporting ride for this land. I think once the remaining rides open in this land, it will be a lot better. I don't think Web Slingers will really get as much hate as it does now. Overall, it's a just okay ride, so that's why it comes in just a little bit lower on the list. And coming in at number 8 is a ride that I think is very underrated, and that is Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue. This is a great little dark ride. I think it gets overlooked a lot, and unfortunately, it will be closing forever early next year, which is so sad to me. I know that it's making way for something even better, But I do love this ride. I think it's a great, charming little dark ride. The queue could definitely use some work. It's definitely very, very hot in that queue. It's got no shade. It's all outdoors and it's just a ton of switchbacks. But the indoor queue portion is very cool. I just wish it was a little bit longer. And the ride itself is great. It's got some great sets, some very decent animatronics. The storyline is easy to follow. And just overall, it's a great ride. If you're visiting the park anytime soon, definitely check this one out before it closes forever. And like I said, I know it's making way for something better, but I am very sad to see it go. And coming in at number 7, we have another dark ride, and this one I also think is very underrated, and this is the Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure. This is a slow-moving Omnimover style ride, similar to the ride system used in Haunted Mansion, just across the way. But this ride's great. It tells the story of the Little Mermaid very, very well. It flows great. Just everything about this ride is awesome. It's got great sets, really, really good animatronics. Especially the Ursula animatronic. That's one of my favorite animatronics that Disney has built, and it holds up very well today. It's got a great catchy soundtrack because obviously The Little Mermaid has a great soundtrack. And just overall, it's a great ride. It also tends to get almost no wait. This is almost always a walk-on. Even if it's posted at 15-20 minutes, that line flies by with the Omnimover style ride system. This ride has great capacity. Just a great supporting ride to have in this park. I'm a huge fan of this ride, and I hope that Disney builds more rides like it. And moving on to number 6, just barely missing out on the top 5, we have Toy Story Midway Mania. This is the absolute better version of Web Slingers in my opinion. This ride was built before Web Slingers, quite a decent amount of time before Web Slingers. And I think it is much better. This is one of my favorite shooting dark rides, if not my favorite shooting dark ride in the world. The shooting mechanic is awesome. It really feels like you are shooting it rather than just kind of pointing at a screen. It is the easiest to track where you're shooting. A lot of shooting dark rides, you kind of can't really tell where you're aiming or anything. This one's very, very easy. While it is a screen-based ride, it's done very well. This ride is just a ton of fun. And I do think it's funny. You get some decent thrills going around some of those turns. It's got some very sharp turns. Just overall, this is a fantastic ride. I am a huge fan of this one. It does, however, have awful capacity, so it gets a crazy long line. Even if the line doesn't look very long, it tends to take a long time because, like I said, very, very low capacity. I know over at Hollywood Studios across the country, they have 2 different rides, the exact same ride right next to each other, so it's got double the capacity, which I think is a great idea. I know they don't have the space here at Disneyland to do that, but I wish they did because this ride, like I said, gets some atrocious longings. But moving on to number 5 and just barely making into the top 5, we have the one and only Incredicoaster. Now, some people might have this ride a little bit higher on the list, but in my opinion, I just prefer some of the other kinds of rides. I think that Disney doesn't necessarily do thrilling rides super well, and this is probably one of the most thrilling rides in the park. It's definitely the most thrilling roller coaster at the entire Disneyland Resort, but I don't think it's that great. If anything, it's pretty rough, especially that loop. It is one of the roughest loops I've ever been on. I do, however, like the soundtrack a lot. I think the theming is very cool. I think the launch is definitely pretty decent. I honestly really hate how this ride has shoulder harnesses. This ride does not need shoulder harnesses at all. It's an Intamin Blitz. Almost every other Intamin Blitz has lap bars, and they are significantly more thrilling than this one. I get it, though. It's Disney. They wanted to do shoulder harnesses to make people feel safer, but I think it would just be such a better ride with lap bars. It's not a bad ride at all. It's just not one of my favorites. I really tend to prefer rides that are much more immersive and story-driven rather than this one. But coming in at number 4 is a simulator-style ride, which I usually don't love, but this one is fantastic, and that is Soarin' Around the World. Now, I used to be a big hater of this ride. However, it has grown on me so much as of recent. I love this ride so much. I think it is one of the best simulators on the planet. It is just magical, flying over all of the different countries, all the different landmarks. It's got one of the best ride soundtracks of all time. I understand not liking it. I know it's a simulator, and I know it's not for everybody. Some people could honestly call this ride boring, but for me, it's just perfect. I love Soarin'. I love the pre-show. I love everything about this ride. I think it's a very classic, charming ride, and I hope they never take it away because this ride is great. And that soundtrack will stick with you forever. This is a very, very catchy soundtrack. Now, moving on to our top 3, and this is where the list gets a little bit interesting. I think that a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but just hear me out. At number 3, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Now, don't get me wrong, this ride is fantastic. All 3 of these rides in the top 3 are really, really good. However, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy is the weakest of the 3. It is a very fun ride. I definitely think it's one of the most fun rides in the park, but I just don't love the theming too much. I think the drop sequence is a lot of fun, but it's a very heavily screen-based ride, and I just don't love screen-based rides too much in my opinion, and this ride pretty much only has screens. I get it, that's what they kind of had to do with this ride system. However, I just much prefer the Tower of Terror ride over in Orlando. I love how that one has some more dark ride scenes and physical sets. I think it's done a lot better. This one definitely has the better soundtrack though. I love how it's a randomized soundtrack and a randomized drop sequence. It's a lot more thrilling. But I'm not really going to Disney for thrill like I was talking about with Incredicoaster. If I want some thrilling rides, I'm going to go down the street to Knott's or to Six Flags. Disney, I'm coming for the most immersive, story-driven experiences, and in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy isn't necessarily that. But like I said, this ride is a ton of fun. Definitely don't miss it. It's a fantastic ride in the park to have. Just in my opinion, it is the weakest of the top 3 rides. But coming in at number 2, I think this is going to be a shock to a lot of people, and that is we have Radiator Springs Racers. Now, hear me out. This ride is amazing. It's really, really good. It's just not my number 1 in the park. Radiator Springs Racers is great. It's an amazing dark ride. It's got a very nice, fun, thrilling section at the end. I love when rides are able to combine both thrill and theming, and this one does it really, really well. It is one of my favorite dark rides in the world, actually. If you watch our top 25 dark rides video that we just posted a few days ago, you will see this ride on that list for sure. It's a great dark ride. It's probably the most popular ride in the whole park. This ride tends to get lines that are well over an hour consistently, so it's absolutely doing something right. And like I said, I love this ride. It's really cool. It is one of the most picturesque rides, especially at night. It's got a fantastic lighting package. The ride is just a beauty to look at. It's incredible to look at. And it's a ton of fun to ride. I love the dark ride section. And like I said, I love how you get to race another vehicle. That's very, very fun. However, that being said, there's one ride in the park that I just prefer more. And it's absolutely an opinion-based thing. I get it. It's probably not the best ride in the park, but it's my personal favorite. And that is going to be the one and only Grizzly River Run. Now, if you've been watching the channel a ton recently, you will know just how much I love this ride. I think it is one of the best water rides on the planet. It's by far my favorite river rapids ride, and I think it has some of the most immersive theming I've ever seen on a ride. Grizzly Peak already is one of my favorite places at Disneyland. I think it's incredibly immersive. The theming is done so well. It's subtle but perfect in its own way. I think Grizzly River Run is just the extension of that. It fits so perfectly into the land. The theming is just so perfect. It's very subtle, and I love when rides do that. The theming is almost so good that you don't even notice it. It's not in-your-face theming. It's more just kind of landscaping. It's immersing you into this different environment. You really feel like you are out in the woods in a national park. It's one of the only rides in the park that you can barely see the rest of the park from it. When you're on Grizzly River Run, you are completely immersed into that land. There was one time that we got stopped right before that first drop at night. It was amazing. It was just us on the ride vehicle. We were looking up at the stars. We were stuck there for 15 minutes. It was completely silent, and it was incredible. I completely forgot I was in a Disney park. It really felt like you're out in the middle of a national park. I could talk about this ride for hours. It's my favorite River Rapids ride by far, and my personal favorite ride at all of Disney's California Adventure. But like I said, I know my take is very controversial, so be sure to comment down below what your favorite rides are at Disney's California Adventure. I wanted to post this video because I feel like I have a very interesting opinion when it comes to this park. But like I said, comment down below if you enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching World of Immersion today, and we'll catch you in the next video.